Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tosh Customs, and today we'll be taking a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll be splitting this up into a total of 3 reviews so I can focus on each one of the characters individually, but my vision for these guys was that they're 3 hitman, they're a trio who work together, and they each sort of represent these different personality traits, both in their style as well as in their weapon choices and just sort of in their demeanor. And so it was about crafting these 3 different characters who, all shared some similarities, but also had some unique differences in their designs. Another cool thing is I did all 3 of these guys with fodder, so I didn't buy anything besides the bodies that I already had on hand. And so it was a real test of creating original parts out of 3D printing and then recycling and repainting and resculpting other bits. And I really think it turned out great. So we'll be taking a look at the very first character in the trio, the Good, Mr. Front and Center. And so with that, I will be taking the bad and the ugly away off the stand for now, and we will take a look at the good. So all of these guys, if you haven't noticed, they have a sort of cyberpunk aesthetic to them. But the big thing I wanted to focus on was making them very, very fashionable, whether that be in the color choices or the outfit designs. I wanted characters who would really, really pop. I've done a ton of cyberpunk figures over this past year and a half or so, maybe 2 years at this point. I've experimented with a lot of different designs between different customers, but ultimately, I focused a lot more with those on a very paramilitary, combat look, a lot of mechanical parts and pieces in there, a lot of different mechanical implants, but I never got to really focus on like the style of cyberpunk. Really bright colors, the future of clothing and sort of the different design elements I could pull from there. And so I wanted the Good to be this almost fashion icon as well as a hitman. But first and foremost, we should talk about accessories. So I'll pull this pistol off here, put the figure off to the side, and we'll take a look at the 3 guns he comes with. The first one is this gold energy type revolver, and this just comes straight off of a G.I. Joe classified Destro figure. It just turned out that the gold fit really well, and so I wanted him to be able to have another secondary. Unfortunately, there is no storage for this handgun on the figure, but it's just a fun little piece to have, so I wanted to include it with the set of accessories. We also have a Mezco SMG. This one is sourced from an MDX blade, and I've just sort of had it sitting in my fodder drawer for years, so I repainted the barrel all through the center with that bright gold to mimic what we're seeing on the rest of the suit right there. And so pretty easy repaint, no incredible labor there, so we have that. And then lastly, we have the suppressed pistol. You can pop it off. This is from the G.I. Joe classified Snake Eyes, not the limited edition, but just sort of the standard one. And so painted this ring right here gold, and I love this hollow ring as a design element. I don't even know why it honestly comes with this hollow ring in terms of the actual pistol model for Snake Eyes, because it's the same size as some of the other peg holes for those classified figures, so technically you can like peg it onto something, but he has a pistol holster, so I don't really know why they included that giant hollow gap. But in terms of a futuristic firearm, it looks really cool. So I have that nice gold ring on either side, as well as some nice gold plating on the suppressor at its base. So you can plug that on there. This is the only gun that has storage on the figure, which goes on the right hip in a holster, and we'll look at that a little bit later. So accessories aside, we can now take a look at the Good. And like I said, I wanted this character to be a real fashion icon. So going to the head first, this head is from actually a Fortnite figure, which is crazy, but it has been repainted. The red here, I changed its shade of red, and then everything back here was cast black plastic. So as you can see, there's a slight purplish blue that's been dry brushed onto the hair. I'm not sure if it's coming through or not, but there is a bluish purple tinge where it used to just be cast black plastic, as well as the ponytail there. The little binding on it has been painted a nice red. And as you can see, the straps that come across the back of the head are now pulled out in a semi-gloss black. The lines here, they stayed orange, but I did put some white in around the edges of it where it used to be silver. You can sort of see that white outline along the edges just to make it look like it was glowing a little bit more. The eye here, I repainted it a brighter orange as well as put a white dot in the center so you get more of a pupil. And then I think I said it already, but I did repaint that red little swish on there. Taking a look at his suit here, he's wearing several layers, and so let's talk about it. First, I should say this base body is a Black Skull base body. I removed the shirt and then put a bunch of new soft goods on. So I have I believe this is a John Wick undershirt. It's either John Wick or it's Black Skull. I don't know. I honestly have several. I think it's Black Skull just based on the way this tie looks. So we have a Black Skull undershirt, this nice dark blue with the black tie. Got some little silver button clasp accents on the collar. And then you can see we have this very nice pinstripe vest here, also from Black Skull. And then I painted his buttons gold here, so we get a little bit of continuity throughout the suit. This leather jacket was actually made for an SH Figuarts female body figure. And when I was originally going to use it, I believe I was going to use it for a Storm Marvel Legends a couple years back, and it just turned out that this jacket didn't fit the scale. It was actually a little too big for Marvel Legends, if I remember correctly. So then I had it sitting in my fodder drawer for about 2 years, and then finally I was like, I wonder if the Black Skull body has a small enough frame for it to fit. And sure enough, it does. It turns out great, and I did paint this nice raven skull with some red wings on the back. Once again, trying to put some of that punk and cyberpunk, and I think it just adds some extra character to this guy. As you can see, the lining of the collar and the lapel all the way down is done in a nice bright red. That's painted with Angelus leather paint, and this jacket is a nice pleather material. It doesn't feel like standard pleather, where I'm worried about it cracking. It feels significantly softer, and it's almost like it's just textured with leather. I don't know how to describe it. But I don't think this thing will be cracking anytime soon, considering I've had it for 2 years up until this point. And honestly, before filming this review, it's been on this figure for probably about 6 months. I've been holding this guy just sort of on backlog, essentially, because I made the good actually quite a while before the bad and the ugly. So he has been standing on my shelf waiting for a review. We have this little armband right here with some pouches, and I painted the little clasps on the side of the pouches in a nice chrome silver, as well as detailed the band in some more red, and then highlighted the little clips on the armband in gold. This was part of a Snake Eyes set from Figure Gear 3D, and once again, this is another piece of fodder. I think I had it also for about 2 years. Probably about the same time, if not a little bit longer than this jacket. And so that's a piece that's also been sitting in a fodder bin, and so I've finally been able to use it. And then finally coming down to the cuffs here, these have been picked out in a really nice bright clean white, once again Angelus leather paint, and I wanted to bring that pop of white in just really to catch the eye and set apart the rest of the design of the figure in a really unique way, and I think that works. For the hands, I opted out of the Black Skull hands, and I chose to use a set of blade hands. These were also just stuff I had sitting. I was originally planning on using it for a different figure, and then I just never ended up completing it. Originally, I think I had these planned for Red Hood, and then I ended up using my Ultimate Red Hood from a while back, and I ultimately ended up using Deadpool hands, and so I just had these blade ones on hand, and so just had to match that red to this red right here. So it was just painting the lining, and I was all good. So then for these pants, I did remove the belt off the pants so that the vest and this jacket weren't like being pushed out really awkward. So he has lost his little tactical belt from the Black Skull, but the belt is all cosmetic. It has nothing to do with how the pants attach to the figure. For the holster here, we have the G.I. Joe classified holster. The only thing I modified on here was picking out some of the silver and cleaning it up just a little bit. So we got some nice shiny silver right there on the buckle. And other than that, I just left it as is. Maybe I should pick out some bits with gold, but I honestly, I like it just more black. It's less, I guess I don't want it, I don't want the holster to get too much attention on the figure. Coming down to the knee pads here, these are the standard Black Skull pants, and these knee pads I use actually Daredevil elbow pads. So these are Daredevil elbow pads that have just been glued on to the fabric of the pants, and so all I do is I bend the knee there, I put some super glue on the inside, and then just press the knee pads down. So you got some nice knee pads right there. And then coming down to the boots, I had some people ask me about the boots. These are just normal Black Skull boots, but they've been repainted a ton. Once again, I wanted some nice white to really pack a punch on this, and it really does. So the base of the boot right there is painted in white, as well as you have some white right up there on sort of that metal tag piece of the boot. And then I had to hand paint the laces in red. This took a long time to get all those lining details. Well, he's got some really, really nice red laces, and once again, some more gold accents on those little clips that are holding the boot laces in place. So, this guy, really at the end of the day, I wouldn't say the construction is too difficult. It just took me a long time to figure out what elements I wanted to have on him. Um, just deciding what my colors were going to be, how I wanted to accent different pieces of the costume, and how I wanted to place the colors. Originally, I didn't have the white on the cuffs or on the boots, and it was just all blacked out, if you can imagine that. And I was sitting there and I was saying to myself, he just feels too generic. What can I do to separate this design a little bit more? And so adding the white on the boots and on the cuffs just adds that extra bit of punch and a little, punch or kick, whatever you want to say, to the character, and really helps also brighten the color palette. And in that way, he feels a little bit lighter. Having that white in there takes away from the drab of the rest of the, darker tones essentially for the costume. And so that's really nice to break up all that black. With that being said, once again, this is on a Black Skull body, so I haven't done anything with the internals, but I want to point out how sort of working on the scale of your head, as well as the layers of costume, or soft goods that you put on, really do change the way a figure looks. All three of these guys are done on Black Skull bodies. As you can see, they all actually turn out to be relatively the same height, just sort of based on the scale of the heads. But they look like they all have very, very different builds. This guy, I went with no cloth sleeves, and so his arms look a little bit skinnier. While for this guy, he's got some extra shoulder pads that are buffing out those shoulders, as well as the tactical vest. And yet, the good right here looks like he has the widest shoulders, and actually probably looks like the tallest, both because of his ponytail, as well as, sorry, this guy's having a hard time balancing. I need to straighten his legs out, straighten the base of his feet out. There we go. Now he's standing fine. But he looks like the tallest due to the fact that he's got a couple extra layers under the jacket right there, as well as he's got sort of the longer head with the extra added height of the ponytail. And so while, in terms of actual body frame, there is no difference between the three of these guys, they all feel very visually different. And so that was really, really exciting for me to design and create, because once again, this was just sort of a test of creativity in terms of how can I incorporate different parts, how can I model different 3D parts, and we'll see some more of that in the other characters coming up. But yeah, just a super, super fun little experiment for me, I guess, in terms of what I can do and what I can create off the top of my head. And so these guys were just personal designs that I wanted to play around with. These are not commissions. I don't really think I plan on selling these. I just like having them and owning them, just sort of for what they represent creatively to me. But yeah, feel free to take any of these design elements, and please pop off in the comments if there's anything cool you want to see or anything you liked off of this figure. And now I'm going to move on to filming reviews for the other two, or breaking these up. So thank you all for watching. I know this is a shorter video. It's a little bit of a quicker breakdown. I just wanted to explain my thought process in designing the suit. And so, if you're new to the channel, please like the video, please subscribe. I appreciate all your support. And if you want to see more of what I'm working on concurrently, you should go check out my Instagram page. My handle is Tosh_customs. And I keep that much more updated in terms of the commissions I'm taking, as well as the different projects that I'm working on currently. And so you can just stay a little bit more up to date with my comings and goings compared to YouTube. So without further ado, thank you all so much for your time, and I will catch you later.